Guess that's my job. I call this meeting to order, Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency. Roll call, please.
Matt, you don't mess around.
Well, it is 1:02 or something.
Matt Conant,
Present.
Arm Baines,
Present.
Bruce Johnson, Bill Conley,
Here.
Todd Kimmelshoe,
Here.
Bo Shepherd, Charlie Hoppin,
Yes.
Drew Stresser, Mike Morris.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, will we please stand for the salute of the flag? Todd, would you lead us, please?
Me? Yeah. Thank you. I'd be honored. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. We don't have to read this whole thing, right?
Everybody else does, but
All right, we'll read through this thing. Members of the public will be allowed to address the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency Board of Directors on items of interest to the public that are within its purview, jurisdiction of the board. Any member of the audience who may wish to bring before a matter before the board has not been placed on the agenda may do so at this time. However, state law provides that no action may be taken on items appearing on that are not appearing on a posted agenda. Public comment? Seeing none? Moving on. Consent calendar. Well, I figure we better keep moving. We don't want to get in trouble by the attorneys over there.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, consent calendar. Items 1 through.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion second by Kimmelshoe and Mike. All in favor, roll call, please.
Roll. Are we on?
What's that?
Are we on video or otherwise?
Yes, and can I also note that Dave Shaw's online and for
Dave
Wade?
Shaw's online?
Yes, for City of Yuba City. Matt Conant,
Aye.
Carm Baines,
Abstain. I was not here at the last meeting.
thank you. Bruce Johnson. Yes. Bill Conley.
Aye.
Todd Kimmelshoe,
Aye.
Bo Shepherd. Sean Harris. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Charlie Hoppin.
Yes.
Drew Stresser. And Mike Morris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now Sean's online, all right?
No, I'm sorry, it's Dave Shaw who's online.
Oh, Dave Shaw's online, okay. Okay, moving forward. Information and possible approval items. Presentation of monthly financial report, please.
Hi, members of the board, Seth Rosell, Agency Budget Manager. This is your regular monthly financial report, so I'll just jump right into it. This is through month ending May 31st, 2022. We have about 17.1 million. And then based on accrued revenues and expenses, that increases to about 22.2 million. That's a difference of approximately 5.7 million or 5.2 million. Most of that is as a result of accrued revenues. So looking down a little bit lower on the slide, we've received our 750,000 of operating revenue. The balance as of 5/31 was 420,000, but again, we just need to journal over funding from our capital fund based on the deposits of our assessments. The 5.7 million in difference of accrued revenues is primarily as a result of a bunch of these transactions, which we kind of update for the board every month, but it's primarily pending state payments. We've received about 4.4 million of our assessments thus far, which includes some of the delinquent assessments from the prior year, but primarily pending state payments make up the difference in that 17 to 22 million. Working through our expenditures to date, about 5.3 million through May. $5.9 million to date, and that's reflected here on this chart. Primarily expenses from last construction season, $3.2 million, and the sediment removal project. Our next debt service is due in October, about $3.8 million, and so we have plenty of resources available to fund that. So in terms of at a high level, the work that we're doing from a financial perspective, continuing to process payments and retention releases, we're working to close out our funding agreement by the end of December. For both UFR funding agreements and our Wildlife Conservation Board and CDFW grants. We're also supporting the efforts on the Fralifa assessment, which will be the subject of the board meeting at 2 o'clock. We're working through the regional levy impact fee. That study has been updated, and we'll be making outreach to agency staff. The study was updated to reflect changes in legislation that I think I've mentioned to the board, but primarily changing the basis of how the fee is charged to be compliant with a recent state law. So we'll be reaching out to the city of Yuba City first to get initial review of that, and then to each of the other member land use agencies to implement that process, to go through that process. And we'll keep the board apprised of the status of that. We're continuing to coordinate with DWR on the approach for the Sutter Bypass East Levee and Lower Feather River projects. And we've have kicked off our annual audit for fiscal year 21-22, had that initial interview with our auditor earlier this month. So that concludes my report. If there are any questions on this report submitted by the city of Yuba City and anything else, I'm happy to answer them now.
Okay, any questions for Zeph? Seeing none, I guess we'll move on to program updates or report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, members of the board. I'm Chris Fritz, filling in for Michael today, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us. But I'll do my best to provide you with an adequate update on our recent activities. We also have Austin Cho here with us today with Downey Brand filling in for Andrea and Scott. Next slide, please, Tara. So on the 2nd Street encroachment removal project, a lot of work has been occurring here over the last month. Our design team, MHM, has been coordinating closely with property owners and has finished preparing the bid package for that work. That bid package went out to bid actually yesterday, and we have a pre-bid job walk scheduled for July 27th. Questions, the deadline for the question cutoff date's August 3rd, and we have our bid opening scheduled for August 25th. If everything goes smoothly as we hope with the bid process there, we do anticipate bringing the construction contract to the board for consideration of award in September. And then we'll be looking to kick off and start construction of that work shortly after that. Work's also been advancing on the environmental and cultural mitigation front. On the consent calendar today was the amendment for Sac Valley Conservancy to allow them to finish finalizing the agreements for the Star Bend and Matthews mitigation sites. The team has been working closely with Levy District 1 and the regulatory agencies and the title company on the land transfer documents and also on the establishment of the conservation easements there. And as of now, it's anticipated that everything will be wrapped up and completed on those efforts at the end of summer. Work also on the cultural front continues. Far Western is still in the process of finalizing their draft report, and that also is anticipated to be complete by the end of summer as well. We did just receive very good news on the approval of the O&M manuals. So just this week, we received news that all 3 of those manuals have now been approved and signed off by Core Council. So we are in the final stages of approval there. The next steps will be for those manuals to be sent to the SAC District Commander for his final approval and signature. So we're pretty excited to finally be at the end of the road there on the O&M manual approvals. On the 200-year certification front, we do still continue to coordinate with the respective member agencies on the resolutions that they'll need to take to their respective councils for ULOP compliance. Over the last month, we have been working closely with Yuba City staff as they've been developing their resolution, and it's anticipated that that will be being brought before City Council at their August 16th meeting. For the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project, this is the 1.6 miles of improvements that we're working on doing just downstream of Highway 99. This project is another one that's gaining steam now that we have the design and permitting teams fully kicked off. Our design team has identified the locations where we need additional geotech explorations for final design. And so over the last month, we've been working with the adjacent property owners there to basically acquire the right of entry agreements that we need to be able to get in there and do the drilling. Next slide, please, Tara. The Sudden Bypass East Levee repairs, as Seth mentioned, we have been continuing to coordinate with DWR on the funding agreement. Within this last month, we did receive the draft funding agreement from DWR, and we responded and sent back comments and some clarifying questions. So that process does continue. We anticipate that there will likely be another round or cycle of review and questions, but our goal for that funding agreement is to finish that process out to bring to the board in September for consideration of approval. We're also working on developing an RFP that we will be sending out to procure design services for design of those levee improvements. So that'll likely be another item that will be coming before the board in the September or October timeframe. On the Oroville Wildlife Area front, we are still waiting to hear back on our grant applications that we submitted to state parks and DWR. We do still, we are still coordinating with National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and working with them on developing a concept proposal for potential funding under their in lieu fee program. We did unfortunately receive news that the project was not selected under CDFW's recent awards under their Prop 1, Prop 68 program. We're currently in the process of scheduling some debrief meetings with CDFW staff to learn more details about why the project wasn't selected, and also to inquire about some of the additional opportunities that they may have coming up. That program does have various different funding cycles, and so we'll be inquiring as to when that next opportunity will be for that program, and we do anticipate resubmitting an application because we do see that project as a good fit for that program. We also have, for the Robinson's Riffle project, just recently submitted another pre-application to the Wildlife Conservation Board. And so we'll be consulting with WCB staff over the next month or two in order to try to secure some funding under the various programs that are available under WCB. For For the sediment removal project, this unfortunately was also not selected.
I got something for you. Granite owns the rights to virgin land just south of there, and they're going to build a huge 20-year project, gravel pit. Are you aware of that? And they had a haul road approved, but then when the economic downturn came 10 years ago or so, they backed out of it. Now Fish and Wildlife's given them a lot of trouble. Maybe there could be some cross-pollination here. Maybe they could help with our project as getting the rights to the haul road or something, just something to think about. Because, like the neighbor said, they're going to get all the gold. Good for them.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. We'll definitely keep that in mind and can follow up with you. We have been coordinating with some of the folks up there because some of the projects we're actually looking at accomplishing as part of that overall project and kind of re-landscaping some of the terrain in that area does overlap with some of those previous mining pits. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. So it was sediment removal. Fortunately, that project did not receive funding through CDFW. We are working to set up a debrief meeting for that project as well to learn more. We do still continue to coordinate with Senator Nielsen and Assemblyman Gallagher's office for potential avenues for directed funding. And for this project also, we just recently submitted a pre-application to WCB as well. So we'll be consulting with them over the next month or two on this project also to try to align it with funding opportunities that they may have under their programs. On the regional flood management planning front, we do still continue to coordinate with our other regional partners for advancing and finishing out those phase 3 efforts. These efforts are related to the advancement of the Sutter Bypass critical repairs, the work we're looking to see up within Cherokee Canal, the Robinson's Riffle OWA project, the New Bullards Bar secondary spillway and the related water control manual updates, efforts related to the Oroville Dam Citizens Advisory Commission, and it also provides some funding to support the advancement of the Feather River West Levee Financing Authority establishment of that assessment district. The upcoming Round 4 grant, that MOU was on the consent calendar today. So that's the MOU that the partner agencies are signing onto, which will basically reestablish our agency as the lead agency for the phase 4 efforts. So under the regional planning, Sbfca was the lead agency for phases 1 and 2. For phase 3, Trillia took the lead for those efforts. And now moving into phase 4, this agency will once again take lead for that. And so that MOU is essentially the document which kind of establishes or reestablishes that relationship. We have a meeting actually scheduled with DWR next week to discuss further details on the phase 4 efforts. We'll be learning a little bit more then as to the timing of when to expect that additional funding, as well as some of the details associated with when to expect some of the funding agreements and other details that will need to get in place directly with DWR. On the federal project, Michael did relay that the Corps is now moving forward with the contractor to address some of those final remaining punch list items. He also continues to advance the opportunity for sale of the excess federal credits. So his next steps there will be to schedule a meeting with the executive director of San Joaquin Area Flood Control Agency in order to continue to advance those discussions. So please stay tuned over the next month or two as he continues to work on that. FEMA remapping, this is another item that a lot of work has been taking place over the last month. So the draft accreditation package is just about ready. We will be sending that to the independent panel of experts for their review here very soon. We actually have a meeting set up with them next week as well to kick off their review efforts. So over the next month, we'll be working through that review and approval process with the IPE. On the regional development impact fee, as Seth just kind of noted, his team has finished updating that draft report. So the next steps will be to send that report to City of Yuba City for their initial review and input. And then as Seth mentioned, we'll then after that process is complete, be sending that out to the other member land use agencies and start conducting the outreach needed to get that adopted. Last item, very good news here on the Feather River West Levee Financing Authority front, just in case some of you haven't heard. Voters did approve that new proposed assessment district at the June 22nd hearing. And actually following this meeting here today, the Financing Authority Board will be considering resolutions to formally declare the results of that ballot proceeding and to formally approve the formation of that assessment district and to confirm the engineer's report and proposed assessments. So again, very good news there. We're very happy to see those results and we're excited to be able to continue to move forward and fund those additional O&M costs that are needed for our important urban levee system. So that concludes my presentation and update today. I did want to note that for next month, staff doesn't currently have any items that they see needing to come before the board in August. And so if that remains the case, we will likely be canceling the August meeting and then reconvening in September. So just a heads up on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, Charlie?
I don't have a question, but a public or a comment for the board. It came to our attention at the Levee District 1 meeting this week that Fish and Wildlife has proposed giving their property in the river bottoms to Sutter County. I don't know if our supervisors are aware of that or
Yes.
not, but I think it's about as ludicrous an idea as I've ever heard in my life. Fish and Wildlife hasn't done anything since they've owned the property to maintain the flood channel or patrol it. And I guess there's a meeting on the 21st to discuss this further, but I can tell you all right now that I'm going to be in opposition to it because the county, unless you have resources that I haven't seen, have no way of maintaining the flood channel that has been poorly maintained to this date. So just so you're aware.
So you know what the long-term plan is that, and I have the same concerns, Charlie, that we don't have the resources to maintain the channel, but Fish and Game hasn't done anything either. But our goal is to form the parkway, and we need some of that ground, and that was Fish and Game's idea to do that. So we formed the parkway, which would form a bike trails in the river bottom, and it's through the National Park Service, a grant to do this. And we'll have bike trails on the levees and as well as in the river bottom itself. And our goal is to make it, well, I don't want to say this publicly. Anyway, we just want to make it better for the public. Leave it at that.
Okay, you realize that the grant that's come forward so far isn't really a grant, right?
Right. It's just
They gave them coaching on how to apply for a grant, and that was referred to as a grant by somebody who I'll leave unnamed. But anyhow, if you're all aware of it, I'm glad glad you're taking the responsibility to maintain the flood channel down there, and just don't come see Levy District 1 and ask when we're gonna start cleaning it out for you. I guess I went further than I should have, but that's the way I feel.
I'll talk to you later, Brad. Okay, oh, I had one question about this, the vegetation removal. So you said you have expected to be approved in September?
If the bid process all goes smoothly as we're hoping, we'd be bringing the construction contract to the board in September for consideration of award.
And would be awarded next year, correct?
No, so that'll be this September. So this is the vegetation and fence installation work and some of the encroachment removal work along 2nd Street.
And that wouldn't have to be done prior to the 15th of October?
Oh, we would be looking to complete that work prior to November 1st for that
okay.
veg clearing and fence install.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, unless there's any other business, we're adjourned.